In section 6-1, we are going to be talking about creating something called a worksheet. So the worksheet, we're going to use our ledger in order to prepare, and this is going to be another form that we're going to need to complete each year for our business. So two things that we'll learn about is the heading of the worksheet and then preparing something called the trial balance. So it's really important that we go back to that GAAP procedure called consistent reporting. This is applied when the same accounting procedures are followed in the same way in each accounting period. It's really important that you do the same thing every year, so that way you can compare from one year to the next. If you do things differently, you can't compare how much revenue you earned in one year to the next, and that might not be very helpful in making business decisions. So you need to be consistent in your reporting. So that's a really important thing as we come to these end of year procedures, making sure that we do them the same way each year. So a fiscal period, that's the length of time a business summarizes its financial information. So this would be consistent from year to year. A fiscal period can also be known as an accounting period. And oftentimes, the fiscal period consists of 12 consecutive months, which we call a fiscal year. So the fiscal year doesn't always start on January 1st and end on December 31st. It can vary. For instance, Apple, they make their big announcements in October. So they start their fiscal year October 1st, end it in September. So just kind of depending on the business, that fiscal year can start and stop at a different time, but it's 12 consecutive months consists of a whole fiscal year. So I said we're going to talk about a worksheet. A worksheet is a column accounting form. So columnar has a bunch of columns, just like our journal, just like our ledgers. Columns are an organized way of preparing information. So we prepare this worksheet using the general ledger, and then we use that worksheet to prepare financial statements. So we're going to learn how to prepare that today. It's really pretty simple, transferring numbers directly from the general ledger into the worksheet. This worksheet is a way to summarize all general ledger accounts in one location. So we posted from the journal into the general ledger in order to have all our individual accounts summarized. Now we're taking all of those account balances and putting them into one form. And this is also a good way for us to prove that all our debits and all our credits equal for all of the accounts that we have. So why would we use a worksheet? Well, for one, this will help us plan needed changes to the general ledger accounts to bring account balances up to date. So we'll talk about some adjustments that we make. And this also helps us separate our general ledger account balances into the two different financial statements that we prepare, the income statement and the balance sheet. But the most important thing, the most important use of our worksheet is to calculate the amount of net income or net loss for a fiscal period. So at the end of the day, a business needs to know, did we make money or did we lose money? If we're making money, great. If we're losing money, we probably need to make some changes. So the worksheet is where we finally calculate what our net income, hopefully, or our net loss is for the business. So in order to prepare the worksheet, we first have our 3-line heading. We've seen this 3-line heading on all the forms that we've created. Line 1 is always the name of the company. Line 2 is the name of the report or the name of the form that we're creating. Line 3 is the dates. So for month ended January 31st. So this company, Delgado Web Services, they create a worksheet for every single month. So the fiscal period would be 1 month. Their fiscal year could still be January 1st through December 31st, but they're going to create a worksheet every single fiscal period, which is monthly. So you'll hear people talk about month-end reporting. That's a really common thing, especially for accountants. The end of the month, a lot of reports are due. We're creating worksheets, other reports every month. So the fiscal period is a month. So all the numbers that we're going to use come from the general ledger, which in chapter 4, we prepared this general ledger by posting. So we're going to go through 6 steps in order to prepare the trial balance sheet on a worksheet. So using these numbers from the general ledger, we will prepare this trial balance. So notice it's a lot of columns and a lot of lines, but all we're doing is transferring money or transferring amounts from the general ledger, all of those account forms, into this worksheet. So number 1, you write the general ledger account title. So starting with account number 110, our very first account, we write cash and just go through every single account that we have from account 110 all the way through our expenses in the 500s. So step 1, you write the account title. Step 2, you could summarize this. You write the debit or the credit amount. Whatever it is in the ledger, that's what it is in our trial balance. So when you get all of those account titles in there, the account balances in there from the general ledger, we draw a single underline at the bottom of those 2 columns. And we know that a single underline tells whoever's looking at this form that we're going to add everything above that single underline. Sure enough, after we draw that single underline, we add both columns. So we add all those debits up and all those credits up. We write our totals in there. And last step, step 6, if they match, thankfully our debits equal our credits here, 8,045, 8,045. Then step 6, we can do our double underline, double rule at the bottom of those 2 totals to show that debits equal credits. So that is how we prepare a trial balance on a worksheet. The 2 columns, the very first 2 columns, notice they have the trial balance heading here. Those are the balances from our general ledger. All the accounts, all the balances organized into one spot. Couple of questions here at the back of your packet. I would go through and write down these answers and then check yourself with the slides. So what is written on the 3-line heading of a worksheet? Name of the company, name of the report, and the date of the report. Last question, which general ledger accounts are listed in the trial balance columns of a worksheet? So which of the accounts in our general ledger? That's all of them. Every single account that we have, even if they don't have balances, that's pretty key. Even if they don't have balances, we're still going to write the account title and leave it blank. So that is section 6-1.